So today is day two of me being a broken man. Today seems like it's even worse than yesterday. Really, really, really sore. Lower back is completely jacked. So I had no capacity to do any sort of proper training again today. So I kind of started planning my workout ahead of time. Yesterday I had a lot of success with just doing reverse lunges for warm-up. So I did that again, did 5 sets of 10 each leg. That kind of loosened me up a whole lot. And I kind of felt a little bit better after that period. I didn't record any of that. And then I went over to this machine, which is the hack squat. Now this machine I've kind of been eyeing off for a little while. It's basically a quad isolation machine. It just basically puts you in a position where you're unable to use any hip drive at all. You're basically laying down on this bench that's 45-degree angled, and you're sliding up and down, and all you really get to use is your quads. I did 5 sets of 20 with this 10 kilos aside, and then I did 5 sets of 10 with 20 kilos aside. So I did 10 sets all up, and that really jacked my quads up. This machine is great for the quads, but if you squat like this, like really, really kind of quad dominant squatting, if you can somehow manage to do this, if you have really good ankle mobility, I suppose, and you only squat using your quads, I can see why you might have knee pain. As I was going through these sets, I said to my cameraman, this is really heavy on the knees, really, really heavy on the ligaments and the tendons of the knee. In general human movement, when you're doing lunges, when you're jumping, when you're doing like natural human movement, like that we do in everyday life, not in the gym, you will be hard pressed to find a movement which completely isolates one muscle like this, one side. And I think this is why the knees feel kind of awkward for me, at least, because there's no hamstring, no glute activation at all. Like this to me was basically 100% quad. I didn't feel any glute, I didn't feel any hamstring tension at all. And so that joint at the knee is basically being loaded at one side, and there's no counteracting tension on the opposite side. And so it feels like the knee is just being put in a vulnerable position. So if you're going to do this exercise, I feel like it's best done with higher reps for lower weight. I think it's worse for me because I don't squat like this. I don't squat in such a position where I just load the knees. I'm very much a hip dominant squatter. So this kind of felt really weird for me. But I think it's one of the best exercises. I want to say it's the best exercise you can do for your quads. I know a few months ago I went through a period where I was kind of examining all these different ways of hitting the quads. I even did Bulgarian split squats at one point, thinking that was going to do it. Then I went on to leg extensions, single, double legs, all sorts of things. And I think this is the best. I know a lot of you guys have said, try the hack squat. It's an awesome exercise. And it is. I think it really, really is if you want to bring up your quads. I know Tom Platz, the Quadzilla himself, swore by this machine. He would even do a sissy squat type of thing on this machine where he would bring the heels back all the way down to the plate, right down to the plate, and will get on his toes and really lift his heels up and really exaggerate that knee over toe kind of a posture, a motion. Towards the end of these 10 sets, I started getting real nausea. I was saying to my cameraman, there's a bin right at the screen right now. I kept eyeing that thing off because I felt like I was going to vomit. Especially when I started doing the second and the third and the fourth set of this weight. Man, my stomach started sending everything back up. The nausea was real. It was really, really real. Now, I didn't work too hard. I worked pretty hard on this machine because it felt like it was about the only thing I can do. My posterior chain is completely screwed. So I have absolutely no strength in my posterior chain at all. Lower back just feels broken, basically. It feels super fatigued. Those erectors on either side of my spine are just so damn painful. I can't bend over. I can't do anything. I had trouble freaking putting my shoes on. So I had to train even on a day like this. So I decided to do something that's basically the only thing I can do, which is the anterior stuff. Do the quads. That's not painful. So I did that. I was quite nauseated. It was very, very uncomfortable. I think it's a combination of having freaking DOMs completely on the back of me. My whole posterior side is jacked. Like literally from my neck down, my whole back is painful. The traps, even the lats have started hurting today, but definitely the erectors, lower erectors, completely smoked. The hamstrings somewhat as well, but by far the back is just the most significantly fatigued part of me. So I've got that going on, and then I hit my quads, and I think my body just went, "The hell are you doing, man?" And so I started feeling nauseated. I think my body was trying to tell me, "Get the hell out of there. What are you doing, man?" But the quads were feeling good. I enjoyed the quad pump, so I kept going. Ended up doing, like I said, 5 sets, and then 5 sets again with a heavier weight. And then I went over to the squat, and the squat looked like, Jesus Christ, it looked so bad, man. I couldn't bend at the hip. I couldn't bend at the freaking knee. I couldn't bend anywhere now. I was just completely jacked. I'm sore for 2 days now in the posterior chain, so I can't use that. And then I took away the quads, so I can't really use that because that's completely, fatigued. So how do you squat when you don't have anything to squat with? Well, you'll see in a second, it looks not very pleasant at all. Anyway, I think I did bar for 5, 60 for 5, and then 100 for 5, and that was it for me. Look at that, leaning over, no mobility in the hip, everything's locked up, jacked up. The quads are spent as well, so it was not a fun session. But I think it's sessions like these that you can afford to mess around a little bit and experiment. And it's often these sessions that actually I learned something. It's often these sessions I kind of discover something. So I didn't enjoy this. I don't want to say like I enjoyed the session, but it was cool to kind of jump on the hack squat machine and give it a go. I know in the bodybuilding kind of world, the hack squat is a very kind of used machine to kind of get the quads on the map, especially for a guy like me who's so... I'm just hip dominant. And now that I kind of went on this hack squat machine, and I don't know what the normal kind of weight I should be doing if I was a really strong in the quads kind of athlete. But I feel like I did, what did I do? 40 kilos today, and it felt heavy. I felt like, I don't know. I felt like I didn't have maybe it's just a novelty of the exercise, but I didn't feel comfortable in the hack squat machine, especially, loading the quads without any glutes, without any hamstrings. It's just a bizarre feeling to go through a squatting motion without the posterior chain. It's just weird. I know back in the day I did the sissy squats, and that kind of felt the same in a way. But even those, you can kind of somehow send your hips back a little bit and help the motion out with the glutes and the hamstrings. But this is just, you're on a bench and you're sliding up and down, and there's nothing you can do to help with the posterior chain. So I think it's a good exercise if you're gonna, try and hit the quads. So I don't know. I wish I tested that out when I was doing the leg extensions. I think it's by far the better option, because it's probably got the better carryover, because it kind of looks like a squat. It doesn't have the posterior chain involved. So I was very glad to finish this workout, man. I was spent, nauseated still at this point, just broken everywhere, just not in a happy state right now. That's it. Tomorrow, I hope the feeling gets better, but it's unlikely they'll be getting back to any sort of proper squatting in a little while. It's incredible what these damn deadlifts are doing to me. So now I'm actively thinking about incorporating more frequency into these deadlifts, because screw this soreness, man. I don't have time to be sore like this forever. So I'm going to try and build some resilience into my lower back and posterior chain. Maybe more frequently, less volume. I'm still thinking about it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.